The blistering heat was one less to be admired. Most engines on the Fat Controller's railway disliked it. All except Bear. Most summer days you could find him pulling slow goods instead of his usual limited. "It's much more calming," Bear told the others one morning. "What would be calming would be this heat to descend," James muttered. "I'm glad I'm not the only one who has to deal with their complaining," Bear chuckled to Boko. Admittedly, it could get rather nettling. Boko could only agree. Soon Bear was out with his slow goods. That day was hotter than most, and even Bear had to admit he was burnt out. "Not too far to the last station," Bear said to himself as he rumbled through the station. Just ahead lay the bridge. There seemed to be something on the bridge as Bear grew near. Luckily, Bear wasn't going fast and stopped. The animal seemed to notice too. As he did, it grunted and growled at him. Bear was most surprised. "Well, I'll be. Now how did that get on the line?" Bear's driver asked, scratching his head. "I'll call the last station. Hopefully they'll be able to help," said the guard. "I hope so," answered Bear. "I don't want to be here much longer. It looks hungry." His driver laughed. "Don't worry, bears don't eat engines." The bear growled again. Bear jumped and he accidentally growled too. That did the trick. Frightened, the bear scampered away and into the bushes. Bear didn't know what to think, nor did his driver. So with a honk of his horn, he continued on his way. By the time Bear had returned home, word had spread. "Fancy Bear getting scared by his own kind," Henry joked. "How ironic! This heat must finally be getting to you, Bear." "No, that isn't fair," Duck said. "Aye," chimed in Donald. "I remember quite clearly hearing Gordon stuck afraid for a measly cow." "Pah! You know we didn't want to hurt the poor thing. But I could never get scared by a little furry creature. I would just shoo it off. It seems like Bear is trying to communicate at this point." He closed his eyes and went to sleep. Bear, on the other hand, just rolled his eyes. The next day, Henry was ordered to take the slow goods while Bear took the local. He was in good spirits and running well. Too well. "Steady on, boy," his driver called to him. "We're not the express." Henry ignored him. He stopped at a station to take on water. Cool water soon was pouring into Henry's tender. Although the coolness was short-lasted as the water stopped as soon as it had started. "But only a quarter full," his fireman sighed. "Definitely not enough to get us to the next station." "Oh, nonsense," Henry scoffed. "We can make it." The fireman wasn't sure, but didn't wish to argue. Soon they were off again. Henry was enjoying himself, but hurrying used a lot of water, and the heat didn't help. Henry could feel himself going slower and slower until he came to a complete halt in front of the bridge. "Bone dry," the fireman scolded. "I knew we could make it, but you insisted anyways." Henry let out a groan, and so did something else. Henry could hear a faint growling sound close by. He was spooked. "What was that?" he said meekly. The growling got louder and closer until... "Oh, stay back! Go away, you foul furry!" "Bear?" As Henry's steam disappeared, there stood Bear. "Oh, Bear, am I glad to see you," Henry smiled. "Are you indeed?" Bear chuckled. "Just a few seconds ago you were practically crying out for help. You could never get scared by a furry little creature, I remember you saying. If I hadn't come, you might have just been." Henry blushed and looked down at his buffers as Bear laughed. When the two got home, Henry spoke to Bear in the shed. "I'm sorry, Bear. I shouldn't have been so rude. If it wasn't for you, blah, 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 etc., etc." "All is forgiven," Bear smiled. "I just hope next time you actually do run into a bear, you won't cower away." Henry hoped he'd never have to.